Hi, it's Dorothy Guining with Scrapbook in Quebec. This week I'm joining the Punched Out Thursday to Die For collaboration. We share ideas every Thursday on what to do with your punches and your dies. I will put links to all the other participants below, so be sure to check out their channels for more tool inspiration. And here's what I'm going to be creating: a quick and easy love-themed layout about Chester. My jumping off point was a Facebook Live Natalie D'Souza did for the Scrapbook and Cards Today Sampler Facebook group. The technique I show is different than what Natalie did, but she definitely got me started, and she had lots of fun ideas for die cut hearts. So I will link up her video below. I think you have to join that Facebook group, so I'm not quite sure how my link's going to work, but I will put it there. And you're about to see what I'm going to be using. And it's mostly material from the Maggie Holmes Market Square collection. I think it goes really well with the warm tones in Chester's fur and the blue hints in his eyes. And here are the tools, and I'll talk more about them throughout the process, and I will list everything in the description box below. Also, I will suggest substitutes so you can create this look without having the very same tools as me. So let's get started, and you're going to see I did do a bit of preparation in advance. I prepared this frame style foundation page with 3 sheets of paper, and I gutted 2 of them. And there is a tutorial on my channel where I explain that, so that will be linked below. I rounded the corners on that white cardstock, and I did mat 2 photos. So here's the paper I'm going to be using. I did cut through quite a bit of it already because I have used this collection quite a bit, and I do have a pile of scraps. And also here is the paper that I gutted from behind the foundation page. I have chipboard and stickers from this collection, and I do have a basket of tools handy, and I'll talk about those throughout the process. So the first thing I'm going to do is work with this border. Right now it measures 4.5 inches by 12 inches. Now I want it to fit within the wooden part of the frame, so I'm going to trim it down to 11.5 inches. And then what I'm going to do is cut out some hearts on it and make basically 3 heart holes on it. So I'm going to show you a set of dies. The dies I'm going to use come from the SCT Sampler January 2022 subscription. It's a little scrapbooking sample subscription, and there is a tool in it every month. And in January, we received 2 stitched heart dies along with the word love and a shadow for it. Super, super cool. So the die I'm using right now is about 3.5 inches wide. So I'm cutting that 3 times. I'm going to start by cutting the heart at the top. I'm kind of eyeballing it in the center. I do the same thing at the bottom of this strip of paper, and then what I do is position the heart in the middle. So I'm not measuring anything here. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, but I will be layering a lot of stuff on top of this border, so if there is a little bit of discrepancy, it's not going to show once everything is on top of it. Anyway, once that's done, I am going to cut out a bunch more hearts in different pattern papers. So that's what you see me doing right now. I'm cutting them out, the large ones and the small ones, and I will cut some out in scrap cardstock as well because I am going to want to pop some of them up with foam adhesive. I'm not going to make you watch all of this. In a moment, you're going to see I have a pile of hearts on my table. So now what I'm going to do is basically fill in those negative spaces on the border with different pattern papers. So I'm playing around. I'm not sure if I'm going to have a different pattern in each one. I end up going with the same pattern in the top heart and at the bottom heart, and the one in the middle is going to be different. It's going to be that blue one there. So I'm going to place the photos towards the top of the page, kind of in the top half. It's going to be a top heavy layout, and I am going to double mat the photos. So I'm using that wood grain paper. That actually is paper that I gutted from behind the foundation page, and my plan is to put the hearts at the top and at the bottom flat to the page, filling in those negative spaces, and the one in the middle, the blue one, is going to overlap the photo. That one is going to be backed in scrap cardstock and popped up on foam adhesive. So what I'm going to do right now is adhere this border to the page. You can see I'm putting a lot of adhesive on it because I want it to be really nice and flush to the page, so I don't want it to pop open in those openings. And then what I will do is adhere the heart in the top and in the bottom, but I am going to keep the one in the middle loose for a while. The same thing with the photos, because I'm going to want to play around with other embellishments before I actually commit to adhering those to the page. So you'll see that in a moment. And then what I'm going to do is get out my Big Shot, and I'm going to be adhering. Actually, I meant to say I will be creating more embellishments with a few other dies. I am keeping this layout super, super simple today because I don't have much time, but I do think this technique is really quite fun. And you don't need hearts for this, by the way. You can replace the heart cutouts with either circles or flowers or anything you want, but the idea is to fill in those spaces there. Now I'm showing you some other dies. So I have two flower dies from a set from Stampin' Up called Floral Frames. That's what you see right there. I have two circle dies. Those are stitched circle dies from another Stampin' Up set called Stitched Shapes. And I also showed you another one a moment ago. It's a stitched leaf, and it's from a Lawn Fawn collection called Floral Frames, I think. Anyway, I will list them all in the description box below. But basically, I'm cutting out flowers in two different colors, two different sizes. I'm cutting out the circles in two different sizes, and I cut out a bunch of leaves. And that kind of a dark gray blue type paper, which is kind of weird for leaves, but whatever. I felt it went with the page. So you can see I stopped the film, continued cutting. I did adhere the centers to the flowers, and now what you see me doing is kind of building clusters. So the main one is going to be around that large blue heart in the middle that overlaps the photo. And then I'm going to have another embellishment cluster in the bottom right. One of those hearts I actually cut out in graph paper, and that's where my journaling is. And then I will have a hint of an embellishment cluster just above the photo on the right to create a visual triangle. Now before adhering, I want to apply a bit of ink to that corner in the bottom right. Everywhere else on the page, the embellishments are kind of attached to something, either a border or a photo. But what I'm placing in the bottom right is just kind of floating there. So I'm adding a bit of ink with a blending brush, and the ink color is Balmy Blue by Stampin' Up. And I just want to ground that embellishment cluster. That's why I added a bit of ink there. So now I'm going ahead and I'm adhering the photos. You're going to see me adhere some of the flowers down. You can see how the flower there, the large purple one there, is underneath that heart that I'm popping up right now. So that's why I waited to adhere this heart, because I wanted some embellishing to be popping out from underneath it. There's some there that I'm not going to adhere right away because I'm realizing at this point I want to back some of those flowers with a little bit of scrap cardstock. When I pop up pieces with foam adhesive, typically I like to back the die cut pieces with scrap cardstock just to avoid any warping later on in my album. So now what I'm going to do is work on my title. So I'm showing you another die here. This is from the SCT Sampler January collection as well. So it's the word love and it's a shadow. So what I'm going to do is cut out the shadow in the wood grain paper, and I decide to use white paper for the word love. A moment ago you saw me kind of auditioning two colors. I was thinking of doing it in that map print, which is the same print as in that hearts that's in the top and the bottom of that border, but I ended up going with white because I felt it stood out more as a title, and I'm happy with my choice actually. And also off camera, what I did was, before getting out my Big Shot on camera, I cut out in scrap cardstock two flowers. So I already put those behind some of those flowers that I plan to pop up on foam adhesive. And when I did it, I did the same thing for the shadow for the word love, because I do plan to pop up that title on foam adhesive again. Again, for the very same reason. I don't want it to warp later on in my album, so it just makes these pieces a little bit more sturdy. And when I actually add the foam adhesive to the title here, love, I end up adding foam adhesive only over on the right-hand side because it is going to overlap that heart, that blue heart there, which is already popped up on foam adhesive. So that part is just going to lay on top of the heart, and I added foam adhesive to the right end of the word love. And I'm actually really happy with it. This is super, super simple, but I'm quite thrilled with it. Obviously, if you do not have the die that I have here for the word love, you could put any title, any thickers pack with titles. You could use alpha stickers, or you could die cut your own title. But I happen to be playing with this one. It's new to me. I'm super, super happy. And again, I'm happy that I used white as opposed to that map print. I think it really does stand out a lot better. So once this is down, I am going to pop up that flower there, that blue one that you see above the larger purple flower. So I'm going to pop that up there, and then I will speed up the camera and just start adhering the leaves in and around each cluster there. So when I was cutting out those leaves, I did think of doing it in a dark green, but I didn't want to introduce any more colors. Anyway, the color scheme here seems to be that dusty mauve as well as that dusty blue color. So I felt that the charcoal blue color worked well with it, blended better with it. And I wanted to keep everything blue because of Chester's eyes. Now what you see me getting out is this little envelope full of die-cut little cats in all kinds of different feline positions. They are all in black, and it was a gift from Ronnie Sue Scrapper. She's also on the Punched Out Thursday to Die For team. Anyway, Ronnie, if you're seeing this, you can see I'm putting my little cats to use. Basically, I'm sprinkling them about almost like they are little enamel dots. In the end, I chicken out. I only put 3, but you're going to see in the still shots in the end, I added a few more. Typically, I get overwhelmed at this part of the video towards the end, and I'm never quite sure if I'm adding too much or too little or whatever. So I'm almost done here. I'm just tucking in those little cats, and off camera, all I ended up doing was adding 2 chipboard hearts, one in that cluster in the top left and one in the cluster in the bottom right. I did add a few more felines in that cluster over there on the left, kind of in and around all of those hearts and flowers, and that is it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would be absolutely thrilled if you did, and if you are a subscriber, thank you very, very much. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out, if you want anyway, Natalie D'Souza's Facebook Live. She had really fun ideas for hearts. And of course, check out all my other friends for a Punched Out Thursday to Die For. They are all using their tools. This video was about Chester, so it seemed inappropriate to not include him in my video. He is an absolute sweetheart and brings us joy every day, just like I wrote on my scrapbook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.